I'll go through. We have a motion to approve the minutes from September 20th, 2023.
So much.
Motion made by Jean, second by Katie. Discussion or amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries. The chair's comment, review. John, I know last time was more virtual. If you want to say a few words, welcome yourself or.
Sure. I thanks everyone for the welcome last meeting. Happy to be here. Hope I'm going to stay here longer. Hoping I can run on it. I made 100% of the meetings. I mean, hopefully that works. I'm excited to be a part of this board and look forward to working with everyone here.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
It's a good board. We work very well together. We don't always agree, but we work very well.
That's understandable.
Peggy, I see you there. Peggy, first selectwoman Lyons, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Yeah, apologize for not making it in person. I had a little bit of a last minute scramble, some kid things. So, but just wanted really update news. I think I'd send around to the board that the town received a steep grant for, I think it was $101,000 or $121,000 for the refurbishment of the town campus gym floor, which has been kind of an ongoing problem that we've and just a little background on the project is that we knew we had to fix the bubbles, but we thought we could just fix the bubbles. And then we discovered it, Austin can talk about this at another time, but as we dug into trying to fix the bubbles, we realized there was a whole remediation process that had to be undertaken, and it was going to turn into a significantly much more expensive project. So we're grateful for that receipt of that steep grant. We are still waiting on another grant application that we put in for a roadway, the Scotland roadway improvement project that involves improved drainage, paving, and sidewalks. So we're hoping to hear is the Connecticut State Connectivity Grant, and we're hoping to hear back on that by the end of October. So that is all there is to update right now. And also maybe just an update on the strategic plan. The Board of Selectmen is now working through the draft of that document. And appreciate people who have been involved in that process. We're going to have another drafting session next week, and then there'll be kind of a public hearing. So, you know, I encourage, we'll make sure all the boards get a draft copy of that document so that if you do want to send in some thoughts or comments, you could attend the public hearing, or you could also always attend a Board of Selectmen meeting too. The goal would be to adopt that sometime in November after the community has had a chance to review it and weigh in. Okay.
Any questions for the first selectwoman?
When is the public hearing?
We haven't determined that yet. It's probably going to be November 14th, I think is the date we're looking at. We want to have this next drafting session and just see where we are. If we feel like we're going to get there, that we could do the public hearing, we will do that. If we need a little bit more work. I mean, our goal was to get it done by the end of the year. We were hoping to get it, though, maybe by November. So we don't want to get into the holidays because that kind of, you know, it's tough to get public focus on things. So we're hoping to get it done by the end of November.
Thank you. Any other questions for the selectwoman? Thank you, Peggy. You know, and I always approve the agenda, so somehow we left out the EOF members' comments or liaison reports. So I'm inserting it right now before citizens' comments. Anybody from the Board of Finance have a liaison report or something that they'd like to say?
I was just going to say, as a senior commission liaison, I was going to mention tonight that they should get their minivan, but I understand you got the minivan, so glad for that. Thank you.
I have 2 reports.
Go ahead.
One, the Library Board of Trustees met this week, and I just want to give a plug or a shout out to, they're doing a mini golf fundraiser on November 3rd at 7:30. Feel free to attend, that should be fun. And also, I attended the new school building committee meeting last week. It was a grueling meeting. And I just want to update everybody. So the budget, projected budget at this point is 64.6 million. It includes the $3.5 million increase shifted from Polson. The original budget was 61.1. It was not increased further because the additional 2.4 was voted down at town meeting this summer. There's still $3.1 million in the owner's contingency within the total project budget. 52.5 million is the current construction budget. And 54.3 has been reconciled with the design estimate. 1.8 value engineering taken. And this was the meeting that I attended, that they had to go through all the value engineering items and kind of whittle those down to make the cost fit. So accordingly, the project is currently on budget. And so the $1.8 million in the value engineering that was taken out, they simplified some wall detailing at the restrooms and corridors. They reduced interior and exterior glass windows and provided more economical glazing and window functionality. They reduced the size of canopies and provided more economical materials at canopies. They provided more ceiling and wall finishes and materials that were more economical. They changed the wall coverings and trim. They reduced extra insulation at the roof, looked at economical finishes for the exterior. They changed and took out some seating at the exterior. They provided direction for reduced plantings. They deferred the front pre-K canopy to a separate solution to be provided later as whether and if funds allow. They eliminated Target card readers at interior utility spaces in favor of standard keys. They provided more economical stormwater piping for targeted symptoms where appropriate, provided simplified heating and air conditioning and vents in the classrooms, provided standard brick sizing at exterior walls, and eliminated EV chargers, but kept infrastructure for the future of potential installation. So it was, as I said, a grueling meeting where they really had to go through, and I just want to commend the school building committee for that hard work that went into that. Not easy. And I've report.
Thank you, Katie. Anyone else? Jean, John?
I have nothing.
You? Citizens' comments, or anybody in the public would like to speak?
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Second time, third time. Someone from the public would like to speak, public information is closed. So new business, discuss and take action to recommend a proposed revision to the single tax relief ordinance to the Board of Selectmen. I know John and Jude were the liaisons. If you guys want to go first, or and we have.
Go ahead, Jude, I'll follow up.
Well, John and I attended a meeting. We went through the proposed changes that the committee had worked on. And with the exception of maybe clarifying some language that we thought could be a little bit more concise or efficient. We were, John, I don't want to speak for you, but there was a consensus as to the changes that were made, that they were good changes, and that this looks like it will be a much more efficient way of handling these programs, a much more efficient and less confusing way of handling these programs.
Yeah, I'll say the changes made were simplifying and I think clarifying some of the, I don't know if I call them inconsistencies, but some language that had to be, I think, fine-tuned and we went step by step, each change, and I'll have to say they were reasonable and all done for the purpose of simplifying this, which I think is something that had to be done, so. Good work.
Yeah, it was very clear that a lot of work had gone into this. And I think we both appreciated the effort and the work that had been put into this.
What I'd like now, since. Up to you two, but you sat, I want a motion, so then we can further discussion. A motion to take action to approve the proposed revisions to the senior tax fleet ordinance. Send it to the Board of Select.
I make a motion to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
motion made, discussion, further discussion. Say, so is that amendment in there or is it?
No, so you received the document that we all reviewed. There were a couple of questions that we reached out to the town attorney. She clarified a bunch, and so we revised the document that you received. When we sent it out, we asked if any board members had any questions. We received a couple from Justin, which there were two sections. One, we were fine. The other section, we did come up with a little bit of revised language, and I think you have it in front of you, John,
Yes.
and it's section 2C. So if you are prepared to vote on the document in your packet, those would be the only two changes to the document in your packet.
So we're gonna amend the motion, we're just gonna include this.
As
As amended,
amended, yeah.
but you'll let us know what those changes are.
Yes, we're gonna be,
I have copies.
I'm not gonna tell you.
So,
Oh, you have them?
I didn't know if you thought you
Yes.
had.
I don't want you to handle here, you can add anything, I think, for me, it was just simplify the process, make it easier, and hopefully people who need it take advantage.
All right, so it's a simpler process for both the residents in town, staff,
I might have a
and
question. maybe
we're
for Jake.
helping,
Is that-
additional people. Who really need the help while still staying well under the budget. As John said, a lot of work did go into this, and Heather, Stacy, Orietta, Christina, just a lot of hours of going over this and really trying to make it the most easiest to read while giving the most benefit that is possible. And I think we accomplished that for sure.
Yeah, I think that to make it, a little more easier for everyone to use, it still helping the people who need help is the main priority.
Ask a question to Stacy. There's a zero budget impact on this, right? Because we're below.
We're below, but as when we calculate our mill rate, it is considered in there. So currently in the regulation, we cannot go over 1%. The benefit cannot go over 1% of our operating budget, so that's still in here. But the benefits itself, we combined the local and the freeze. And before, it was one or the other. Now, the way we wrote it, they're getting both.
Yeah.
They're getting both. So it's a better benefit. However, we're still well below the 1% cap that we put in place.
And do you know what that well below number is?
I think we're at about probably half that. And then.
That was like 0.6%, wasn't it? With the new revisions?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear the answer to Peg's question.
More than half of the 1%.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we did include in here that as we reach 0.7 of the 1%, that you all review it again. We're getting closer, so maybe we want to make some changes. So we did add that too. So I do think, and you guys definitely can speak up, I think we covered all of the concerns that were out there all these years, and I think we have a good document.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Katie had your hands raised, good.
So Austin, and based on your experience, we're below at 6% or 0.6%. Is that because we're serving everybody that could use this benefit, or are there other things that we can do to make sure people in need have access to it?
So I think that cap is put in place as a
Sure.
placeholder. You know, we have 330 something applicants, I believe. Which is a good percentage of the population in town. You know, we reach as many people as we possibly can. It goes out to, he said about 1,700 newsletters. Heather meets with pretty much every senior in town. Should tell you that too. So everyone who, almost everyone who should qualify applies and gets it.
That's fine, thank you.
Any other discussion before we met? Yes, Justin, how do you raise your hand? I heard the comments before. I don't think it's, your last meeting, you're still okay, fine. No, it's fine.
Nowhere to find. This is more a technical question. I liked everything about it. On the property held in trust, and maybe Jude, I'm not a lawyer, maybe you could help with this. I just want to make sure that I heard that as long as if it's in an irrevocable trust, let's say, as long as the property owner is responsible for the payment of property taxes, then they would be eligible. And I just want to make sure that, how easy is that? That's not stated in a lot of trust agreements. So could that potentially nullify their benefit of the trust if they have too much, there's always language, if they have too much control over the trust, then the probate benefits aren't valid. So I just want to make sure that that's been looked at. We're not inadvertently maybe making some people's lives difficult with regard to their trusts.
Stacy, is that something that the town attorney has looked at or that your committee looked at?
It also says that the agreements are looked on an individual basis by the town attorney. I think Justin's here is looking for the taxpayer there as opposed to.
Yeah, that if they say, okay, I'll pay the taxes, then they might end up losing their probate benefits. Because it's no longer, because they have too much, the language is often they have too much control over the trust. So I didn't know if payment of taxes could that potentially trigger that too much control provision and get people in,
Just from experience, I would say, there's a 5 and 5 rule even with a broken trust, but this is not the case.
Sorry.
Right, usually the trust pays it though, so that's, I just want to make sure we're not.
So there is a lot of folks do have trusts that apply and get approved. So, 99% of the people who apply that have trusts do get approved, and so the language in most of the trusts is correct. Some people have been denied because of the language in the trust. But then they're able to go back the following year and they can meet with their attorney and, if possible, change the wording in their trust to go forward. But
Yeah, you can always do that, or, that's all, I'm just throwing it out there,
Yeah.
making sure we.
I think that was.
Yeah, I think we,
We can't advise the way that they write their trust, that's kind of what we got from our attorney. But we did add the language saying that it needs to be clear that the applicant is responsible. for
So the
taxes.
attorney, our town attorney said that, and
Yes,
obviously they would, visiting it, so hopefully they're not gonna give us advice. They probably know that that's typically fine,
right.
and an easy change, whether it's, a rider or change the doc. Okay, that's all.
yeah, and I would just echo that in practice, we have, because the town attorney reviews the trusts, right? If there's a question, and then they can appeal also. But I know sometimes we've had residents that want us to tell us what to change, but we can't do that, obviously, we can't tell them how to write their trust and give them that kind of advice. So it would require the resident to go back to their own, attorney to make revisions and amendments.
I know it's already the opposite though, too. Normally people put money and things in a trust you just want to make sure that they really have the need. It's just, so as long it's reviewed, everyone's reviewed by the town attorney. Any other comments? All right, so John, I need you to, if you don't mind, amend your motion to include, I'll read it, then I'll hand it to you.
Yes.
Oh, yes, so include the eligible properties with more than 5 units will receive a prorated credit for residential units only, and should an eligible property include commercial, obviously we want to get commercial. The credit shall be prorated to residential portion only, so basically it's only for residential. But if you can amend the motion,
I make a motion to, as amended, to approve the motion. Is that,
that's fine.
Fine.
As I
As
just,
amended.
as you just read it.
Mhm.
Second too, that you
She nodded.
waive,
Second,
second. Any other discussion on the motion or the amended motion? Seeing that all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Any opposed, abstention, motion carried.
thank you, Heather and Austin.
Thank you, Heather and Austin,
Thank you.
and everyone else.
Yes, thank you, Heather and Austin.
This, yes, you do, and the finance team and everyone.
Big team project, for sure.
It's important. I'm sure you're glad it's done.
It needed to be done.
I am more happy than I am. Like this one, I actually am okay with.
We have
Morals.
item number
Well, you
8.
just want to learn everything else while I just.
Thank you. Item number 8, discuss and take action to approve request of $100,000 from the capital improvement program. CNRE fund fiscal year for fiscal 25 to fiscal year 24 for the Emergency Operations Center. Owner's project manager approved by the Board of Selectmen on September 25th, 23. I need a motion and second for discussion. Motion by Katie, that was a left-handed second, I believe, by Gene. Discussion. Katie.
So I have a question / concern that you can help me with, Steve. So, having been on the CIP, I know that our out years in that budget is running on the low side, like scary low. So does this affect that?
It does not. This was year 2, moving year 2 to year 1, so we could commit to the contract. The concern was year 5 last year, so we're still good, and hopefully the plan that's coming out to you this week, you'll feel better about that low balance.
Okay, good to know. And so that it's, it was planned for.
It was planned for where we
As long
want
as
to
it was in the
commit,
plan.
we got the grant, we want to start hiring this owner's rep and get moving on the project.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, there's a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Abstention? That motion carries. So we have the budget process, including CIP for fiscal 25, meeting schedule for fiscal for 24, and the budget workshops. And I did look at them. There was one, I might have, did anybody look at these? And I think it's only April 16th. I may be in DC.
Okay.
May not matter, may not be here anyways. So it doesn't, no, really, it doesn't.
Hush.
I mean, here.
No, we have to approve regardless, so.
That's what I'm saying.
So this is a really preliminary draft. We wanted you to start looking at the dates, let us know your concerns. Board of Selectmen did not look at it yet. Either this is the first draft that went out. So I would love if you all look at the dates, let us know what doesn't work. We also have a change in the charter where we can move things up. I believe there's so many days after a primary that we can open up the machines again for a vote. For the referendum, so we do have an opportunity maybe to move the date up a week or 2. But I believe you'll all talk about that next time, and the selectmen needs to start that conversation as well. We just kind of wanted to get it started.
Thank you. So any major concerns, let Stacy know, please. That's a, no, that was the only thing,
It's the only one.
that's the only one that I saw that could be an issue. Usually Fillmore goes through that and calls me and says, okay, here's where we go.
Totally does. And then the CIP, you want me to talk about
Yes,
that a little bit?
please.
Okay, so every other year CIP has to start a little bit later because it's an election year and the members of the committee could change. So the thought is with the new charter that your board can appoint the 2 members to the committee on your next meeting, November 15th. Board of Selectmen, because they don't take their seats until the Monday after Thanksgiving for the new charter. On the 27th of November, they can appoint their 2 members. And then I didn't write down Board of Ed, we'll get the Board of Ed dates. And then the plan is if the Board of Selectmen appoints their 2 members on the 27th, we can start our first meeting on the 28th of November. So as long as we have, everybody follows and appoints their members, we will have a calendar ready, a meeting set on the calendar for November 28th, probably in either early morning or at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we could start, talking about the calendar for the new members that are part of the committee.
So from the BOF, looking at a point on the 15th.
Yes.
Yes.
And then they go through, the committee works its way through until February 1st. And that's when the committee's work is done, and then it goes back to the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance for the budget process. Did I get that right?
You did.
Any questions for Steve?
Thank you.
All right. So since Fillmore's not here, we have to make one, we have to review the financials. Somebody has to ask about the fund now.
How's it been, Dennis?
Don't you have a copy of it?
That's not the point.
I'd like
Copies, they do not email it out.
I was waiting all day, sorry.
I gave you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
This is projected, the auditor's last day was today,
Congrats.
so that was exciting, so this is not audited. But this
Is there any way you can put that up on the screen?
No,
Sorry.
I'll email it to you, sorry.
Thank you. Okay.
And it really hasn't changed much, I mean, it's fine tuned from, last month. And then, I don't know, and the financials are this current fiscal year, so the fund balance is the end of last year. The financials that were included in your packet are for this current fiscal year on where we are, a couple months into the year.
Got a quick comment on the financials. It's more on that. I'm not doing this for Fillmore, I don't think. On the revenue side, we get down to the permits and building permits and things of that nature. You got the payment in lieu of taxes was already 188,000, projected to be 180,000 more than budget for, which is a good thing. But it looks like a lot of things may be better than we thought, and we just kind of stop it at the year-end estimated revenue. Is that by design, or is that,
At this point,
Yes.
if it does exceed it, then
okay,
for something like that, then we do, adjust it and show the.
right, so the
potential
payment of
overage.
taxes already exceeded it by 180,000+. Are you with me?
The payment in lieu. Where are you? Under tax collector?
You're under
Department of
Department
Health,
of Health.
and then,
State, federal grants, it's the last page, town administration. Here.
Oh, I see, I'm sorry.
I didn't have a page number.
Yeah, so we already exceeded it, so we're showing, we budgeted 325, is that where you are?
And collected 513.
513,
Which is good. Yes.
so we're already showing that we have excess revenue of 188, and that is a one-time payment. So the 188 is over.
What would that do to?
I don't know, and the estimate was probably based on
Yeah,
last.
you
don't
year's.
know.
Yeah,
You're not exactly sure, John, what they're gonna give you.
Right, no, I understand that. Normally, there's, for a number that size, there would be some reason.
it was probably based on
Some other-
last year,
Okay,
and then they do end up giving us a different number than we budgeted, and if it's more than what we anticipate.
That's all I was trying to say. It's a good thing.
It's a good
it
thing,
was pilot
sorry.
though, right?
Right.
It's not like we took on any new state
No.
properties, so, yeah. Okay.
Any other questions on the fund balance?
I just have a couple.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand.
No, that's all right. I'm just curious on just seeing it now, the wood, Scotland Road, I think Peggy had mentioned sidewalk. Is that Scotland Road or Scotland Avenue? They're both.
The short one.
Like to 10
From
one?
From Route 1 to
Up
the
to
railroad or
Railroad.
whatever.
Okay, so Scotland Avenue would be getting a sidewalk. Okay,
To get a sidewalk.
cool. And then just a general question maybe for Peggy. Maybe our strategic plan is not to this level of detail, but I'm just curious, as you're kind of formulating the strategic plan, has anything kind of jumped out that might cause, a rethinking of anything in the CIP? Like, you know what I mean?
I think no. I think it's interesting how many people want more sidewalks in town during the strategic planning process. So that was definitely something we heard loud and clear. I think most people just focused on, the things we love in town, the beaches, the schools. That's where they want to see investment continued. But I think as we finalize the process, there will be a more detailed implementation plan that would kind of align with this, so that at least when the CIP committee meets and when the boards go through budgets, they'll have kind of those signposts, so to speak, from the strategic plan to help them prioritize. I don't think I've seen anything surprising so far in the process.
There's gonna be no big aha moments or things.
No, I think we're doing all the right things. It's just, certain things are more of a priority to certain people than others, but overall, I think we're moving in the right direction.
So like Madison Ho is building into a gastropub, that's not getting any traction.
Yeah. But they do prioritize public safety. That was another one. So.
Thank you. That's it.
That's it, Justin. Katie, have a-
I was just gonna say that your fine balance might help.
let's say,
Balance?
so, John, I'm not sure if you know, but if anybody on the floor speaks without being recognized, it's a $5 fine.
Nice. So how much do I owe you?
I'm gonna give you a pass on the first one. Justin did very well to his, which I didn't even know today was his last meeting until the end. Today, he incurred like $25, $30 in fines. He thinks I didn't hear him over there talking before. Any other questions or comments on the finance? Before we get to that, citizen comments. Justin, this is your last meeting,
I think so. I mean, it's November, the election's November 7th.
and how quickly does it? I know you
I thought it was,
Board of Finances, yeah.
it could be yours too.
I thought it was January.
Could absolutely.
So I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Justin for his hard work, and it was hard work. Justin went through every single document, every single line, questioned everyone. And it was a pleasure to watch the kind of commitment that you had to the seat, which does not always happen. And I think you were fair in terms of looking at what was best for the town. And I think that's commendable in a crazy, crazy political world that we live in. I think you earned people's respect, and I appreciate the time you put in.
Thank you.
I will echo,
You could say something, Katie. Go ahead.
I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
So there. Justin, thank you for your diligence, as Jean pointed out, but I got to work with you closely on CFP, where that carried over, as well. Thoughtful questions, always prepared at every meeting. You and I have not always agreed or seen things the same way, but we've always been able to have great conversations and hear each other's perspectives. So it's rare, and I'm very grateful to you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Do you want to say anything?
I do. Like Justin, like Katie, we have not always agreed on every issue, but I have taken a lot of enjoyment on those issues that we have agreed on. Because I think that shows that this board in particular has folks who have the town's interest and are willing to work together to make sure that things get done that need to get done. And I've appreciated working with you. I'll echo the others' sentiments as well. It's always wonderful when you have people who are giving up their time to provide a public service and who take that service as seriously as it should be taken. And clearly your work ethic is excellent on this board, and we've all appreciated that very much.
Thank you.
John?
Yeah, I'll just echo all those remarks and just say you're leaving some big shoes to fill, and makes it harder on us new guys because we have to come up to your standards. And I've heard so many good things about you and your commitment to the town, and I appreciate everybody's time and effort that goes into making this town better. You certainly have.
I'll just tell one quick story then, if you don't mind. So thank you, everyone. It was very nice of you to say. I do think this is serious work, and I wanted to make sure that when I started thinking about not running, I wanted to give my party plenty of advance notice to find someone. So I think I told Amy back in January that I was considering it. Just as I said, I want to give you enough time to find someone who's qualified to sign. And then, so she called me back 5 minutes later and said, we found it. And that Gordon. So anyway, but yeah, so.
Other things I really enjoyed, Justin, that sense of humor, that laugh after you say something. I don't know if you realize, but then you start to laugh.
Yes.
I think it's nice.
Peggy, I know you want to say something. I'll finish.
Yep, she's coming.
Yeah, no, I just, obviously, public service is challenging. We all have differing opinions about what direction the town should go in and how we prioritize our spending. But I know everybody that takes the time and effort to serve on a board is doing it because they care about the community. And I appreciate all the investment that you put in the Board of Finance, as Jean said, to do the work, to understand it. It's not lightly. We make these decisions with a lot of thinking and careful analysis, and we work closely with town staff. And so I appreciate your service. Thank you.
Justin, just to wrap this up, because, we're going past the hour. I really enjoyed having you. Your heart's in the right place, you work hard, you are intelligent, you go through everything. What's nice about this board, even when we don't agree, it's always very respectful, we laugh afterwards and we get along. So I really do appreciate that, and I appreciate all the work you've done. And just on a separate side note, and I'll be really brief, I don't know what's gonna happen in a couple weeks or a month, and I really enjoyed being on this board and cheering on this board and working with Gene and all of you. I think we work very well together, trying to do what's best for the town. I just want to say thank you. Justin, you want to say anything else? You got a free pass tonight, though.
No, it's a great opportunity and a great experience. I learned a lot. Seriously have, and I'm better for it. And I'm not going anywhere. I think there's, if you don't mind me saying, there's a lot of ways to serve our community. So I'm just focusing on other ways for the time being, but certainly not going anywhere. And maybe back if the opportunity presents somewhere down the road. So who knows? But thank you all
Noted.
very much.
Yes.
We'll find things for you to volunteer.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody from the public would like to speak?
No hands are raised.
Second time. You want to say something, Austin?
Austin's gonna stand up.
Third and final time. You want to say goodnight? You want to say anything?
What do you think? What do you think of how your father runs a meeting? What do you think?
You get to stay up an extra hour.
All right. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.